Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It is Christian here. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today I have a super exciting video, you guys, and it is a video that I have been planning for like 6 months. No joke, no exaggeration, 6 months. So the reason why it's taken me so long to film this video is because I really wanted to test all of these products. I really wanted to research. I really wanted to just really get a good grasp and understanding of all of the different products that have been released. So what I'm doing today is, over the course of the last year, we have seen a bunch of big name YouTubers release a lot of eyeshadow palettes, or just a lot of palettes in general, and I have picked up a ton of them. I have been testing them out, some of them for the better part of a year, some of them are more recent purchases, but I have definitely had all of these palettes for a really long time now. And then I started thinking to myself, well, you know, you bigger YouTubers are coming out with all of these palettes, and are they actually any good? Are these brands just putting names of very popular YouTubers and influencers on their packaging, calling it a day, and making money? That's kind of where this idea for this video came into play. And I want to say just very quickly, this is not, if you are here thinking that I'm going to be bashing these YouTubers, absolutely not. You have definitely come to the wrong place. I'm definitely not here to bash any of these YouTubers. I have nothing but respect for all of the YouTubers that I'm going to mention here today. I'm not subscribed to all of them. I don't watch all of their videos, but I think that what they've done is truly I just think it's amazing. They have turned themselves into marketable brands, and that's a big deal. So whether you like one YouTuber that I'm talking about, whether you don't, we are not here to discuss personalities. We're not here to talk about, you know, ethics or anything like that. We are here to simply talk about an eyeshadow palette or a blush palette, and if they are good quality or if they are worth your money. That's it. I'm super excited for this video, you guys. Like I said, I have tested out so many of the products, and you just can't help but think how influential these people are. I personally love Jaclyn Hill. I personally respect her. I personally think that she is an amazing YouTuber. I think she's an amazing makeup artist. I have purchased so many things that she has recommended, and I've never been let down. So I personally do like her. I think she's fantastic. She's one of the people who helped me get into beauty, helped me get into makeup, helped me want to start a YouTube channel. But even with that being said, let's just talk about the influence that these YouTubers actually have for just 2 seconds. How many of you guys knew who Morphe shadows or Morphe brushes was 2.5 years ago? Like, really, honestly, truly, how many people? Not a whole lot. So Jaclyn Hill made a video talking about amazing $2 eyeshadows. And the rest is pretty much social media history, right? That day, I can't remember if it was that day or the next day, Morphe's website crashed because Jaclyn Hill talked about it. Okay, like crashed. Now they are one of the most talked about, raved about brands on YouTube right now. That's how much influence she has. So let's talk about Jaclyn Hill and Makeup Geek. I don't want to take anything away from Makeup Geek, but Elena has put together an amazing brand. But a couple of years ago, Jaclyn Hill released a video talking about her favorite Makeup Geek eyeshadows. That website crashed. So much traffic because Jaclyn Hill made a video about the eyeshadows. NikkieTutorials talks about a lip topper from MannyMua. Good luck trying to find that lip topper now. So that's when I really just started thinking about it, like how much influence these guys have, how much of the money are we actually as consumers putting into these palettes that these guys are buying just because their names are on it, just because we support these particular YouTubers. Are they actually good quality? Because we're talking about Tarte, we're talking about Too Faced, we're talking about Becca. We're not just talking about social media brands, like brands that are big on social media. We're talking about names and brands that are in Sephora that are well-known brands that these YouTubers are now collaborating with. That is huge. That is so amazing, and I applaud every single one of those YouTubers for their hard work, for their dedication, and for getting to where they are, because it is not easy. I know so many people think, oh, you just turn on a camera and upload. I am a very small YouTuber, and I can only imagine the amount of work that these bigger YouTubers put into their craft and put into their videos. It is a lot of work, and every single one of them, whether you like them or not, deserves everything that they've gotten because they've worked really hard for it. Whether you agree or disagree with that, it's a lot of work. The smallest YouTuber on this list has over 900,000 subscribers. That is a lot of reach. The biggest YouTuber on this channel has over 7 million people. 7 million people know their name. 7 million people support that YouTuber. That is huge. That is a market that I can't be surprised why these bigger brands are now wanting to tap into that. So anyways, that's just kind of the backstory on how this video came to be and how I decided that I wanted to go ahead and do this video. Of course, this video is going to be long because I'm talking about a lot of YouTuber collaborations. I will link timestamps down below if there's only one palette that you're interested in. This is the first video of mine that you are watching. I do have a huge giveaway going on my channel right now. The links to all of that information will be down below. I really hope that you are excited about watching this video. If you are, guys, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not subscribed already. And let's just go ahead and get into the video. So I'm gonna start with the palette that is actually a little bit newer in the realm of all of these eyeshadow palettes, and it's actually one of my favorites. I think that it is one of the most consistent through and through formulation. I love every shadow in here. I have no issues with any of the shadows in this palette, and I think it was a well-made, well-thought-out palette. The palette that I am talking about is the Chloe Morello and the Ciate London palette, and this is the Beauty Haul palette. I purchased this when it first got released on the Ciate London website. It's on Sephora's website now, but I purchased it back when it first released. Now, I don't really watch Chloe Morello a whole lot, but I do watch some of her videos from time to time. I think she's beautiful. I think she is funny. She does great makeup looks, and I just think overall she is down to earth. And I think that she put her name on a well-made palette. I think it's super cute. It is called the Pretty, Fun, and Fearless palette. London does have 3 individual palettes that are named the Pretty, the Fun, and the Fearless. And then she kind of basically, what Chloe did was take some of her favorite shades from those palettes, and then she put them in this particular palette here, and then she made a couple of her own. Now, this palette retails for $49, and it's called the Beauty Haul because it also does come with a couple of extra products. You get a bag, a little makeup bag that I personally have not used. You also get a mascara, which is what is this mascara called? This is called the Wonderland Mascara, and it's in the shade Black Magic. And you also get the mini liquid lipstick in the shade Pinup, which is actually a really nice formulation. I actually do like these, but overall they are really good quality and I do like them. I did watch all of the announcement videos for these palettes multiple times because I just really wanted to make sure that I understood the thought and the process that went behind every single one of these palettes. Chloe said that she wanted to create her perfect palette, and that is why you definitely see a little bit more of purpley tones inside of this palette because she has green eyes and purple makes green eyes pop. That's another reason why I am a big fan of this palette. I have lighter brown eyes with a little bit of hint of green in there, but overall they're just more light brown, so purples really work well with my eyes as well. Most of the shades are existing shades that already existed in Ciate London's line. Chloe had a say in 4 of the shades, which are the shades On Fire, which is this guy right here. Also had a say in Queen Bee, which is just a richer brown, a richer darker brown, which is this guy right here. She had a say in Jet Setter, which is she described it as like a dusty purple shade. Say in Own It, which is this guy right here. I personally think that every shadow in here works. I think every shadow in here is blendable. I think that you have the right amount of mattes, you have the right amount of shimmers, that the shades that should be matte are matte. I think that overall this is a well thought out palette. I think that they are blendable, they are smooth, they are buttery. I think she did a good job partnering with Ciate London on this. I think it's just really cute packaging overall. And I definitely think that this is one to check out. Of course, all of these are just my opinions and my opinions alone. If you don't like this palette, more power to you. If you love it, more power to you. But I do think that this is an amazing palette. I love it a lot. Okay, so we're gonna talk about another palette that overall I love through and through, and I think is well thought out, well planned, well put together, beautiful, amazing shades, and that is the Manny MUA and the Makeup Geek eyeshadow palette. Now, getting this palette was a pain in the butt. It was not a fun process, but I think that it is absolutely worth it. I think it's beautiful. I think it will work on so many skin tones. I think that if you have been on the fence, because this palette released, I want to say like 8 between 6 and 8 months ago, so it has been out for a very, very long time. It was supposed to be limited edition. I don't know if it's limited edition and they just keep re-releasing it, or if they just haven't sold through their stock, because I know that it's sold out and come back several times. Now, I think that Manny was very, very smart making his first like big collaboration with Makeup Geek. I know he's done Ofra, I know he's done other collaborations, but as far as the eyeshadow palette is concerned, I think that it was probably very well thought out. I think it was a very smart move on his part doing an eyeshadow palette with Makeup Geek. Makeup Geek has amazing quality eyeshadows for the price point, and not even just for the price point, they are just all in all good eyeshadows. Now, I know that a lot of people were kind of in the beginning fussing over the cost of the palette. It does retail for $45, and in my opinion, 45 bucks is a fair price. Compare Makeup Geek's single eyeshadows separately, they are $6 a piece, which is, so if you do 6 times 9, what is that, 54? I'm not good at math, forgive me if I'm wrong. That's 54 bucks. And then there is also like 2 more of their metallic or her pressed pigments in here, which is the Insomnia shade, and what shade is that? And Artemis. So those retail for $10. So that's 20 bucks. So, and then 7 times 6 is 42. So that's 62 bucks if you were to buy all of these separately. So to get this for $45, I had no issues with the price point, especially because the formulation on every single one of these eyeshadows is amazing. It has the right amount of pigment where it needs to have pigment. They blend, they build. Beautiful eyeshadow palette. They work so well together. It's neutral enough to where you could use it every day, but then you also get the really, really beautiful pops of color with Insomnia and Mars. Mars is such a unique shade. It is gorgeous. Now to the touch, you guys, it does feel very, very, very gritty, and it does feel like it's not gonna be a good eyeshadow. But once you actually get it on the eye and start blending with it, not an issue at all. Now in this palette, 5 of the shades were custom made by Manny, and then the other 4 were existing in Makeup Geek's line. So the ones that were custom made by Manny, which was Artemis, which Manny described on his channel as a white gold frost. Gorgeous shade, beautiful shade. It's very reflective. It'll be great under the brow bone, great as an inner corner highlight, and you could even put it all over the lid if you wanted to. Another shade that Manny created was called Luna, which is this guy right here. Gorgeous shade, taupey pink. I mean, the reflection on these, you guys, are absolutely stunning, and they translate like this onto the eye. Sora is one of his as well. It is a more of a, he described it as a burnt orange shade. Beautiful, perfect as transition, perfect to blend out the crease. All in all, this shade is absolutely stunning. It is well made. Another one of his shades, which is the standout shade that I think that everybody was just like living for, is the shade Mars, which is like a maroonish reddy type color. Absolutely gorgeous. Don't let the grittiness of the shadow, you guys, bother you, because like I said, that is not going to be an issue when you actually get it onto the eye. On the eye, gorgeous. And then the last shade that Manny had a say in was Aphrodite, described as like a plum brown on his channel, and I definitely 100% agree. I like the fact that it has that little plummy undertone because it plays really well with the other eyeshadows. Now, I will admit that I do not reach for this palette as much anymore as I used to, and the reason why is because of the Modern Renaissance palette. Don't get me wrong, you guys, these palettes are not dupes for each other. The shades that Manny custom created are very unique. I swatched, I did side-by-side comparisons. I was convinced that I was gonna find dupes between these 2 palettes. I did not. They are very, very different. However, you can get similar looks out of these 2 palettes. So this is another one of the palettes that all in all, every shade in here is workable, every shade in here is beautiful, and I think he did an amazing job. Next, we're gonna be talking about the Graveyard Swamp Queen palette. Now, this retailed for 45 bucks, and one thing that I did like about this palette versus some of the other ones, you could get this palette at so many more places. So you could get it at Ulta, you could get it at Sephora, JCPenney's, Macy's, the Tarte website. This palette was just more available than some of the other ones. One thing that Bunny said is that she got a lot of, not hate, but she got a lot of, oh my gosh, it's just another neutral basic palette. Everybody was expecting it to have pops of color. Everybody was expecting it to be a little bit more vibrant. And Bunny kind of, and I'm summarizing, I'm not quoting, she said that so many people confuse her personality with her aesthetic. Basically what she was saying, when you look at her makeup look, throughout, she's not using blue, she's not using purples or greens or any of really those kind of shades. She is using neutral tone shades, and which is why she made a neutral tone palette. I personally think that the quality of this palette is absolutely beautiful. I think it is well made. I love the detailing. I love the mirror. The brush in here is actually usable. I think that Bunny did an overall really good job bringing her palette to light. Overall, for 45 bucks, you get 9 eyeshadows, a blush, a bronzer, and a highlighter. Okay, so one thing when I was buying these, and I'm just gonna kind of squeeze this in right here, one thing that when I started buying these particular palettes was our brands marking up the price because they want to get to the bottom line and they want to make sure that they're paying the bigger name YouTubers and still making profits. No, I think that this particular product is very on par with Tarte and all of the pricing of other Tarte palettes, and I kind of feel the same about all of the other eyeshadow palettes. Okay, so I do like this palette. I don't love it, but I do like it. I think it is workable. I think it is wearable. Now, here's why I don't love it. Because I feel like there is too much glitter in these shades. Every shade in here has pretty much some type of glitter, some type of shimmer, some type of reflect, and I don't love that. Dogman is a really beautiful shade. I love it so much. It's like a burnt orange, and I think it's beautiful. It does have a little bit of shimmer into it, but it does not translate as much onto the eye. Now, the shadow that I did have a huge gripe with that I was not a fan of personally, Sippy Sippy. I think that Sippy Sippy is the only shade in here that just kind of left me kind of like scratching my head a little bit. It has way too much glitter in it for the shade. I think that it's too dark of a shade to have that much glitter in it. And here's the thing about it, it's just glitter fallout. So once you get it on the brush, it doesn't translate onto the eye. It just kind of falls all over the cheeks. So basically what I do is I use that shade like a matte shade. So basically what I do is I pick it up and then I just dust it off. Like I tap off the excess. I get rid of all of that glitter and then I go in and apply the shadow. Bronzer for me is just a little bit too warm toned. And I know that bronzers are meant to warm up your face and bronzers are meant to kind of give you like a nice sun-kissed glow. But on me, it just pulls a little bit more on the orange side. So for me, it doesn't work, but just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it won't work for you. Not patchy. It's overall a good consistency. It's just not the right color for my skin tone. Highlighter is really nice. Do like it though, but you just have to be very, very careful when you use it because it can get really, really glittery on the cheeks. Beautiful shine to it. If you don't have a lot of texture to your skin, it does feel super buttery. So if you go in with a super light hand instead of just going crazy like right out of the gate, you can get a really beautiful sheen with this particular product. You just have to apply not a lot, I guess basically what I'm trying to say, but it gives you, if you're into that super metallic, super wet look, you will get that from this highlighter. I think it is gorgeous. I just think that if you have a little bit more texture on your skin, you do have to be a little bit more careful with it. I think that the purple eyeshadows in here, they are nice for the purples in the Chloe Morello palette to this one though. I don't hate this palette. I don't regret buying this palette. I would buy this palette again. So I do think that this is a really nice neutral palette. Now, I think that Dogman for me makes this eyeshadow palette. I don't know what it is about that eyeshadow shade. I love it. I think that she did a good job on the packaging. I think that she said that, I believe Bunny said that she worked on this for over a year or roughly around a year. And you can tell like she put thought, she put effort. I just wish that there was a little less shimmer or a little less glitter in a couple of the shades. Okay, so I have the Laura Lee and the Violet Voss palette. This bad boy retailed for 45 bucks. It does come with 20 eyeshadows. You get 10 mattes and 10 shimmers, and I definitely think that that is a fair mix of eyeshadows. People were kind of hating on Violet Voss because they are private labeled, which basically private labeled means that they don't make their own eyeshadows. They essentially buy them and slap their name on it. I'm not gonna really touch on that today, so if that's an issue for you, just be aware of that. I don't know if that's any different with the Laura Lee palette. To my knowledge, it is not. The one thing that I will say that I absolutely love about this palette is an all-in-one palette. And Laura Lee said that that was very important to her. That is something that she definitely wanted to do. She did not want you reaching for 3, 4 different eyeshadows, 4 different palettes. She wanted you to be able to go to this particular palette and be able to create an entire look out of this palette. Now, I 100% agree with her. I think that you can create so many different looks with this particular palette. I love Press Pot, Mama Bird, Ragamuffin. Love those shades. They are gorgeous. They are metallic. They just look good on the eye. I recommend applying these eyeshadows with your finger. A lot better payout if you do apply them with your fingers. However, with that being said, they are still very, very workable with the brush. Overall, a very neutral palette, which is what she said that she wanted to do. It's a very neutral and a warm tone palette. I am a warm tone love and shadow girl, so I can appreciate the warm tones, but then she also said that she did not want to leave anybody out. She did throw a couple of cool tone eyeshadows in the palette as well, just to make sure that everybody could use it. It would work for all different skin tones, all different skin types. There are going to be nice transition crease colors, so you can start here with Press Pot and make your way to Ragamuffin. About her supporters, and I feel like she put a palette together that, like she mentioned in her video, that she wanted anybody to be able to use. I think that she did accomplish that. Didn't love the matte shades in here. The shimmers, out of this world, beautiful, apply so well to the eyes. The mattes require just a little bit more work, but they are workable. So they're not the best matte shadows in the world, but they are workable. I guess it's like a devil's advocate kind of thing. You know, if you have an issue with the private label and the fact that this palette is $45, then I could see why you would think that this palette is overpriced. I do think that the palette, if this palette was like 30 bucks, I would be like, done, get it, love it, it's so amazing. But because of the higher price point, and I don't necessarily think it has the same quality as some of the other eyeshadow palettes that I have mentioned, so that are in the same price family. However, Voss did bring the prices of their palettes down. I want to say when they first released like the Violet or the Heavy Metals and the Drenched or whatever those palettes are called, they did retail for $52. So they did bring down the prices on this, which I think was a smart move on their part, because those palettes definitely are not worth $52. I have been able to get some really pretty looks out of this palette. These 6 shades right here I love the most out of the palette. I think that these are the best shades in the palette. Was not a huge fan of the matte shades, and that's just me being honest. That is just me giving my honest opinion. The shimmers, out of this world. The shimmers did not have a lot of fallout. So if you have just a little bit more patience to blend out the matte shadows, because it does require just a little bit of patience, and really you have the time to really work with your eyeshadows, you will get stunning looks out of this palette. So next we're going to talk about the Shaaanxo palette with BH Cosmetics. Now this palette retails for $14.50, but you do have to pay for shipping through BH Cosmetics, so it actually after shipping ends up costing you about $20 for this palette. Now, one thing that I will say that I am going to point out, and it's not really here or there, but I just kind of thought it was interesting, especially when I went back and really started researching and looking at other people's reviews and watching a lot of videos and tutorials and seeing what other people thought about these particular palettes. I noticed that not a lot of big YouTubers talked about this particular palette. And normally when you have somebody of Shaaanxo's size, she has, let me look at my notes, has 2,794,000 subscribers and some change. So normally when a subscriber of her size releases palettes, you typically hear bigger YouTubers talk about them. And this is just me, from what I could see, I didn't see any bigger YouTubers talking about her particular palette. I don't know if that means anything, but I thought that that was very interesting, because the whole world talked about Laura Lee's palette, Manny MUA's palette, everybody talked about Jaclyn Hill's, NikkieTutorials. Her palette it's like 2 palettes in one. So it comes with 9 eyeshadows and it comes with 9 lipsticks. I'm gonna be completely honest, y'all, I have not touched these lipsticks. I have played with the eyeshadows, of course. One thing that I was a little concerned with, I don't really like it, because I don't really like those kind of palettes when you have like cream and powder palettes mixed together, because they tend to mess up formulations, get messy, they stop working for you. But I do think that the packaging was very smart, and it was very well thought out on her part. This particular palette has 4 mattes, 1 duochrome type shimmer, and then 4 just regular shimmer shades. I was pleasantly surprised with the quality of the BH Cosmetics shadows. I would have never purchased this palette if it was not for me wanting to film this video. So one thing that I will say again about all of these palettes, I think that they represent the YouTubers very well. Thing missing in this palette for me, I don't know what it is and I don't know why. I wish it had like a mid-tone or like a lighter transition color, but I'm kind of like, do I really need that? Because every single one of these other palettes has that. That's the one thing about this palette. When I do use this palette, I tend to go reach for like a lighter brown, like soft brown or something like that, to kind of pair with the other shades in here. I love this shade right here in the palette. I think it's really, really beautiful. I gravitate towards these shades all the time. They are a little bit on the powdery side, but they are very, very usable. Now, the BH Cosmetics palette that I liked more than the Shaaanxo palette is the Carli Byble palette. I do like hers a little bit more. I think the thing that I like the most about the Carli Byble palette, my favorite thing about her palette, and again, this also retails for $14.50. What I love the most about this palette is the highlighters in it. I think that for a lot of people, the highlighters are the standout products in this palette. I think they're beautiful. I think another thing that I like about this palette is the highlighters. There is a highlighter shade in here. Probably there is a highlighter shade in here for everybody. The pigmentation on these highlighters is out of this world. Just really nice highlighters, and I love them. I feel like for the price, you just can't beat it. And it's another neutral palette. I want a YouTuber to come out with like a crazy like Urban Decay electric type palette. Like, can somebody do that for me? Can somebody do that for me? So I think that if you were just purchasing this palette for nothing else other than the highlighters, I think it is worth it for that reason alone. Next, we're gonna talk about the Jaclyn Hill face palette and eye palette. I'm not even really gonna talk about the eye palette. I don't even know why I brought that out. So I respect Jaclyn Hill for what she did with the eyeshadow palette. I was lucky enough to get one of the ones that had a better formulation. Just everything about this packaging to me is just stunning. It is beautiful. It is well put together. When you say, oh, Jaclyn Hill made this palette, if you've watched her videos for any length of time, you can kind of say, okay, I get that. I see that. So it's just the mirror in here. And I know it seems like such a small thing, but the mirror in here is outstanding quality. The highlighters in here, Becca makes bomb AF highlighters and blushes anyway. So the fact that Jaclyn Hill was able to curate these particular palettes. So my personal favorite blush is on Morello. I love this particular blush shade. It looks beautiful on the cheeks. It is absolutely stunning. Champagne Pop, I think that, well, that was Prosecco Pop. But Prosecco Pop, I feel like for me, sometimes I can't really get away with Prosecco Pop because sometimes it does look it looks a little there. So I feel like if you have a super lighter skin tones, Prosecco Pop might not work as much for you. Champagne Pop, we all know about Champagne Pop. Champagne Pop was the highlighter of 2015. I will never need to buy another Champagne Pop for as long as I live because I've got so much Champagne Pop, I don't know what to do. But the blushes in here, the packaging of this, I love every single blush shade. I think that they are all wearable. And then Prosecco Pop and Champagne Pop, I think Jaclyn Hill did such an amazing job creating those particular shades. I think that one of or both of these highlighters will pretty much work for any skin tone. So I think that it was a great buy. I know that there was a little bit of controversy because so many people felt the need that they had to go out and buy these palettes because they wanted to get Prosecco Pop. And then the split pans came out, so people kind of felt like they were a little bit on the duped side. I love it though. I do not regret buying this palette at all. Okay, so one palette that the only palette that I really just didn't like, loved the color selection in this particular palette, and Fabulous created with Ulta. And I think she doesn't go by Miss Jen Fabulous anymore. I think she goes by Jen Claire Fox, if I'm not mistaken. This is the only palette. I like the colors in here. I think it was $20 price point. I do like the particular shades in here. I just didn't like the eyeshadows. I did not find them to be very blendable. I didn't think that they were easy to use. I really hate to say that. I just didn't. This is the only palette that I didn't wear several times. I think that the pigmentation on this palette is lacking. Again, I think that she is so sweet, and I really hate to say anything negative about somebody that worked so hard to create something, and having your own eyeshadow palette is a huge deal. I just personally didn't like this particular eyeshadow palette. I mean, they're not the worst eyeshadows that I've ever tried, but just out of all of the other palettes and the YouTuber collaborations that I have personally gotten my hands on, I feel like this is just my least favorite. If you love this palette, again, I mean, that's awesome. That's great. I think it is very reasonably priced. Personally don't like it, and I'm sorry. So as far as the NikkieTutorials palette is concerned, this is the only palette that I do have a full review already on my channel. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on this palette. I will just link that that review down below. I don't really care a whole lot for either one of the blushes. The black is a little bit on the patchier side. Wasn't a fan of those particular three shades. Like I said in that video, 2 colors that I do like are Makeup and Chill and Painkiller. So I am gonna not spend too much time here because this video is already gonna be super long, and I will just link the review down for that particular video where I have already talked about and reviewed this particular palette. The palette that is newest to my collection is the Kathleen Lights and the Morphe collaboration palette. Again, a very affordable palette. This palette I believe retailed also for either $14 or $14.50. So it comes with 15 shades, which I do think is a very fair price. Now this is the first Morphe palette I've ever used as far as eyeshadows. I do have some of their brushes that I actually do like, but I have never used any of their eyeshadows, so I don't really know or have a base to compare it to. Really, again, neutral palette. I think that the green in here is a little bit kind of like, why are you in here? But I do think it is a beautiful shade. I do think it is very metallic. I do completely 100% formed an opinion on this particular palette yet. So just like a quick mini review, I do think that they are pretty decent quality shadows. I do like the colors. I really like this color right here, which doesn't really look like much. I do actually think that they have a really decent consistency. I do think that they are pleasantly blendable. I'm not gonna lie, I was not expecting a whole lot. Overall, so far, I think that this is a really good palette. Shimmer shades are always gonna be a lot better than matte shades, typically speaking. So that is why people tend to get a lot more excited about shimmer shades than matte shades. I think the matte shades in here are really nice. I wish I had other Morphe palettes to compare it to, but I think overall I do like the color scheme of this palette. I think it is well done. I think Kathleen did a good job. I know she also custom made a couple of the shades in here as well, and then the rest are existing Morphe shades. So I think that every YouTuber did such a great job. I think it's really awesome whenever you get to fulfill dreams and goals and just kind of really put yourself out there and make big things happen. So congratulations to all of them. There's only one palette in here that I honestly really just didn't like. I didn't love them all, but I didn't dislike any of them with the exception of, unfortunately, that one. I do think that there were some very standout palettes. I do think that there was just some average quality palettes, but still none of them bad. None of them were just thrown together palettes that people were just trying to make a quick buck off of. All right, guys, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. And yeah, guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye.